of when you hear the words private investigator? You probably think of someone following a man around to see if he's having an affair. You probably think of digging through someone's financial records to see where he's hiding that boat or that mansion. You probably think of going across the country tracking down that deadbeat husband who took your son. Actually, in a former life, I was a private investigator, and I would like to tell you a little bit about my experience. I would like to offer you an alternative list of things that comprise the daily work of a private investigator. Such things being, number one, spending many, many hours bored in your car, sometimes days. Getting approached and harassed by neighbors who are upset that you are in the neighborhood making their children nervous. Lying to said neighbors about why you are there. You cannot tell them that you are a private investigator. Making contact under a pretext. When you're making contact with people, you have to use some kind of a fake reason for calling in order to get the information through a very indirect means. When the person leaves their house, you have to follow them around. Sometimes you have to speed through a stoplight. Sometimes you get caught at the stoplight. Sometimes you're in a very long stretch of road where they can see you and they speed up and they disappear. Sometimes you can't find them at all. You can't find their car. They live in a huge housing complex where you can't see who lives where. Sometimes their public records just don't show up anywhere. You cannot find a thing about them. Sometimes, and this is my particular favorite, getting questioned by the police. When you are in a neighborhood and someone calls in that there's a car sitting there all day, the police come and they talk to you. And those are the guys that you need to be honest with about what you're doing. And sometimes, only sometimes, maybe 5, maybe 10% of the time, is the actual catching someone doing something bad and getting all the good, juicy details of something. So tonight I'm going to elaborate a little bit more about some of these experiences. I usually got to the house at 6 in the morning, which meant that if the house was 2 hours away, I had to get up at 4, sometimes earlier. I had to spend the time canvassing the neighborhood, confirming that they were home. And then I would have to sit there all day. Essentially, the job was simple. You go there, you keep an eye on them, you sit in front of the house all day, in a discreet position, of course, which, if you're in a very populated neighborhood, there is no good discreet position. You follow them when they leave the house. You videotape them when they claim that they are at home, disabled, and they can't work. But then they go out, and while they're receiving workers' compensation checks from the insurance company, they are doing heavy lifting work and all these jobs that they supposedly are too injured and incapacitated at home doing. You film them doing this and you present it as evidence to deny their claim and sometimes pursue charges. Now, some of the other realities. For example, if the neighbor comes up to me, "Oh, what are you doing here? You're making our children nervous, you know, who are you?" I'm a real estate agent, and I'm here waiting for my client. He hasn't come all day. Well, I'm gonna call the police. I need to see your ID. Oh, and here's the great story. A couple of kids who were not nervous, they came up to my car and they asked, "Hey, hello, how are you? Do you want to play spy with us?" You know, this was the kid whose parents just came out and told me that I was making them uncomfortable. So then I would have to call the house to confirm that the person was home. "Hello? Hi, is this person home?" "No. May I ask who's calling?" "Yeah, I'm calling with a charity that he signed up for last week." "He didn't sign up for any charity." Goodbye. Click. So I don't know whether he's home. I can't make direct contact. So now I have to go and try to ask his neighbors. Well, I notice on his house there is a beware of the dog sign. So I think, okay, how about I try to use a pretext which involves dogs. So I get out of my car, I walk up to a neighbor's and I knock on the door. Hi, I am here with a dog charity, and I'm wondering if you are a dog owner. No, I'm not. I'm just curious, is there that person over there with the dog sign, is he a dog owner too? Oh yeah. And is he pretty active? Oh yeah, he's always running out of the house, around, going out of town, so I know that something is up. But sometimes a person will say, oh no, I'm sorry, I don't know that person. I go to the next house. Hi, I'm with a dog charity. Do you know if there's any lost dogs in the neighborhood? Sorry, I don't know. Go away. Hi, I'm with the dog charity. Hi, I'm with the... So, I've been sitting in the car all day. I still don't know where the person is. I've tried every possible resource. So I go on the internet and I look to see if there's any address information. Or I Google his name. Nothing. I call back at the office. I say, look, I'm not finding this person. Is there any more information you can give me? Sorry. Well, at this point, I have to break off and I have to leave. Because you can't get paid for the time that you don't know where someone is. So, another part of the job is not just following people around. Another part of the job is conducting interviews. And in one particular interview, the person was suspected of deliberately causing a car accident at an on-ramp in a major highway. So I started asking. I said, okay, I'd like to come and talk to you about some claims that you're discussing, that you're working with your insurance company. She's a little skeptical, but she says okay. So I have to interview the 3 people who are in the car, separately. So I interview the daughter. And I asked her a set of questions. What was the accident like? All right. Then, can I please speak with your mother? No problem. The mother comes in. The television on the background is blaring. The kids are crying. I have to go, mind you, to the person's house. And I start asking these questions, and I say, look, ma'am, can you please just turn down the TV a bit? And what time did you get in the car? What time did you get in the on-ramp? How fast were you going? What are you asking all these questions? You're talking to me like I was some kind of a criminal. All I want to do is settle a claim at the insurance company. You come to me like I was some sort of criminal. Mind you, this is a Hispanic woman who thinks that she's being victimized by the evil, big, bad insurance company. She tells me that I have to erase all records of our conversations. She asked me for my identification and my license to show that I am authentic. Her son, big buffy guy, takes the identification and says that he's not going to give it back to me, essentially that I can't leave the house until I erase the record, the recorded record, and any pictures that I took of the conversation. With little other choice, I do just that. Well, this is 11 o'clock at night by now, and I still have 2 hours to drive back to the house in order to get up at 4 in the morning the next day to do it all over again. Sometimes I was successful, I was lucky, and I got someone. Sometimes, most of the time, the work was running again and again, and over a period of months, it kind of wears you down. So, what did I learn? First of all, I learned that this is actually a necessary job. I take no pleasure in catching people doing something bad. On the contrary, I am not happy seeing people hurting their families or cheating on their wives or stealing money. But it has to be done. These people, it has to be caught. They have to be caught. People need to act responsibly toward their families and toward their societies. And if they cheat on their spouse, if they steal from their bank, if they cheat on their insurance company, they have to be caught. So eventually, the job stopped being something fun and exciting. The reality is that you do it because you have to. And in my next job, I got into a lot more interesting criminal investigations and maybe I might talk about that next time. So, just some differences between the allure of the private investigative job and the reality of everything. Toastmaster.